Hello guys and gals, and welcome back to another episode of Ritual Pastas. Yes, another episode of Ritual Pastas after the last one. This one is the 11-mile drive. It's a ritual about achieving greatness and achieving what you want in a, well, I wouldn't say simple, but an 11-mile drive. What happens in this 11-mile drive, you may ask? Well, sit back, relax, and find out how to do the 11-mile drive.
Do you have something that you truly, relentlessly desire? Despite your state of life, is there something else that you would go completely to the end of the world to get? Well, lucky for you, there's a way to achieve what you're looking for. And you won't need to go to the end of the world to get it. But you're gonna need to go somewhere. And the place may be too out of reach for some. It's not far away, closer than one may believe. But there's requirements that some individuals may not meet. First, whatever it is that you seek, know that you must seriously desire that you want. In your eyes, it should be something you need. If you begin the journey without the correct state of mind, you'll surely fail, as it will be near impossible to turn back once the journey ends. The second requirement is that you will need a vehicle of sorts. Most use a car, as it's the most comfortable device. There have been a select few that have used small motorized vehicles, such as an ATV or even a motorcycle, but that's proven to be quite difficult, as the conditions of the journey can prove to be too bothersome. And don't use a vehicle too large or noticeable, as you will need some of the cover of night to be most safe. And while any, sort of car will do, you may not want to choose the most expensive or cherished vehicle. You can take your slick new black Mercedes for the drive if you like, but don't expect to come out of it in a pristine state. Make sure your vehicle is completely fueled before beginning the drive. The first task to accomplish is to locate the road. It doesn't have a name, it's not even on the map, and technically it doesn't even exist. It'll only show up if you're looking for it at the right time. And you'll only spot it if you know what to look for. Finally, you must be alone during the journey. You didn't think you'd be able to go with a group, did you? It's gotta be night where you begin. Choose a time of night where you believe the roads are at least the least populated. Drive to any area that is just a stretch of road surrounded by woods. And here's where you want to start paying close attention. If you're looking for the road, it'll turn up eventually. But you need to search for the road's hint in order to pull down the right one. And once you're close, you'll see or feel its signs, but what the signs will depend on what you desire. For example, if you're in search of wealth, you may spot shimmers on the empty branches of trees as if they resembled the shine of gold or diamonds. If you seek love, you may begin to see rose petals slowly dance in the light breeze, blowing in the road's direction. And if you seek revenge, you might sense an ever-growing feeling of heat or anger in your body as you approach. Just know what it is you really want, and you'll have no problem finding the turn. Now once you're sure you found the revealed road, take a deep breath and turn down onto it. At this point, you have officially started down the nameless road, which brings you through 11 miles, leading to whatever it is you seek. Each mile will test your desire, and will expose if you really do want what you're searching for. Now before you go any further, stop the car and be wary of a few advisements. Do not turn on the radio during the drive. Do not use a phone during the drive. And reception would be cut off anyways, to be honest. Number 3. Don't open the windows during the drive. Make sure they're closed before you continue. If you're riding a vehicle without windows or a top, then prepare for the worst, really, as the odds are heavily against you. Number 4. Do not attempt to leave the vehicle at any time. Number 5. You'll never want to exceed 30 miles per hour unless you're desperate to make it through a section of the road. And most importantly, as with any drive, wear your seatbelt. Now feel free to prepare and make sure you're ready. Once the road has been entered, time has stopped, so you don't need to worry about losing the night. Though you may not notice, you're not actually in your own world anymore. Take one last moment to realize that once the first mile is over, there is no turning back. And if you ponder turning back at all, know that you shouldn't even be on the journey in the first place. Once all is done, continue onto that road. Now on your first mile, you won't see much change. The road passes through mostly woods, with a few miles being an exception. The air will turn a bit colder, in which you should turn on your heating system, if the vehicle has one. You won't want to take your eyes off the road later. Take some time to calm any uneasiness by admiring some of the night sky. You'll see it completely lined with stars, more than what you would ever possibly believe. If the weather was cloudy beforehand, you'll also notice that the sky is now clear. Now on the second mile, the air is going to become even colder. This is primarily the reason why traveling in an open vehicle can be very difficult. With each mile, the air will drop in temperature even if the season should be warm. If the air is too cold to bear, even with the heat on, your only option is to speed up. With each mile, the road also becomes more complex, taking more turns and showing an increased amount of road hazards. Be sure to keep always focused on the road in front of you in order to avoid as many bumps or obstacles as possible. Hitting a few rocks and potholes won't hamper your progress too much, but you'll want to keep in the best condition for as long as possible. If your vehicle is forced to stop because of damage, there's nothing you can do eventually but freeze to death. On the third mile, you may begin to spot silhouettes of human figures on the linings of trees. Don't pay any attention to them, even if they seem to get closer. It'll be hard to resist peeking at their unnerving distant appearances, but know that they will reveal themselves later. At this mile, the road will become dirt, if you weren't driving on it in the beginning. Keep to the center of the path, as it'll become narrow and wide at random intervals. On a quick side note, should you ever attempt to turn around despite the previous warnings, you'll be left on a path which never ends, and you simply run out of fuel eventually, and be left to freeze in the cold conditions. Now on the fourth mile, you will not only see more of the figures, but you'll begin to, in a sense, hear them. In the back of your mind, a very faint, unintelligible whisper will echo. These will come and go, but you can't stop them. If they become bothersome or distracting, try to tune them out by thinking of what it is you desire. Attempt to listen and determine what the voices are saying will only attract them to you, and if you want to be as far away from them as you can, they'll be closer later. So there's no use bringing them near you this early, right? Now on the fifth mile, you'll come to a clearing. The lining of trees on your left will disappear to reveal a lake, with no end, with a beaming great moon over the water. The illumination from the moon will be so spectacular that the vehicle's headlights will no longer be required. Restrain yourself from gazing at it, and if you look at its light for even more than a few seconds, the road in front of you will end, throwing your vehicle into the water, in which you will freeze in mere minutes. The voices will be gone for this mile, but don't rejoice yet. They'll be back. Now on the sixth mile, take into account that you are more than halfway done. Despite the progress, you may lose hope here. The stars will have disappeared at this point, leaving the sky an empty, black abyss. The clearing will have ended, leading you back into the woods. The only light you will have will be provided by your vehicle's headlights, but they'll flicker from time to time even if you're sure they're in perfect working order. Now if you have a radio in the vehicle, it'll turn on here automatically if you didn't turn it off beforehand. It'll produce an overwhelming screech that will send you off the path. A calm voice will then begin to speak to you about your greatest fears, or what it is you are horrified of in your life. It'll speak in a way that will cause you to visualize the words in your mind, so don't listen to it. If you begin to comprehend what it's saying, the horrors will prove too much for you to stay on the road safely. Attempting to turn the radio off will prove no use. Speed up if you need to. Just keep your mind off the voice as much as you can. As you approach the end of the mile, the voice will fade out of the speakers, leaving your ears at peace for now. Now on the seventh mile, the voices from the figures will return. It won't sound like a whisper this time, but more like distant screams, growing closer with each second. At some point in this mile, you'll hear one of them in your ear, as if one of them were right next to you. This is because one of these figures have found their way into your vehicle. Don't turn around. Their faces are going to shock you into a paralysis, leading you off the road. If you don't draw attention to it, it'll become uninterested and hopefully leave. These beings are said to be the ones who have traveled down this road before but were not successful. They live the remainder of their existence suffering in the darkness, with their only goal being to bring other travelers down with them. It has been said from experience that these beings can't physically harm you, so as long as they don't cause you to wreck, you should be fine, really. Now on the 8th mile, slow down if you're going too fast. The roads here are going to take pretty sharp turns, which, if overshot, will throw the vehicle into a pit through the trees. The cold is near fatal here. If you were to have a glass of bottle of liquid in your vehicle, it'd be solid in seconds. The heating system will have become completely obsolete. Your headlights are going to flicker a lot more, sometimes shutting off for a few seconds. You should brake if this happens, but do not completely stop. The figures are following you at this point, and should you stop for too long, they're going to surround and trap your vehicle. More of their screams can be heard from outside your door, sometimes even sounding of maniacal laughter. Their hands will claw at your windows, desperate to reach in and feel something living. Don't look at them. They won't block your windshield. and the last thing you want to happen is to crash and be trapped with them. If you don't make it from here, pray that it's the freezing that ends you. On the 9th mile, your vehicle will stall. The headlights will shut off, as will all other systems inside. There's nothing you can do to prevent this. Now what you need to do is close your eyes and immediately attempt to restart the vehicles. Keep your eyes closed, as the figures would have surely surrounded you at this point. The starting of the vehicle is going to frighten them, and they'll all back away temporarily. This will give you a chance to start moving forward again. If you begin to hear the windows crack from their struggle, don't lose focus. These beings can alter the vehicle, but remember that they still do not have the strength to physically affect you. You're not going to hear anything, but their voices will rampage your mind, as there could be anywhere between a dozen or 100 after you now. Once you start the vehicle, floor it. Floor it as long as you can stay on the path. When the mile's done, the beings will retreat. On the 10th mile, the voices of the beings will stop, and if you were to look in your rearview mirror, do not actually do this, you'll see them following you, but not as if they were chasing. They're watching you, as if they're seeing you off. As you go down the 10th mile, the road will be smoother. As if you were back on the 1st mile, the figures will be lining the sides of the path ahead of you. They won't be after you, but they'll watch you as you pass. Some have theorized that the beings are impressed here, that you have come a long way on your journey to what you desire. But that's false. They're not impressed, but happy. Happy because you're about to approach the next mile. Happy because you are most likely going to your death. Because on the 11th and final mile, everything in your vehicle will lose power, as it did on the 9th mile. The vehicle would normally be immobile, but you'll still be moving. An unknown force will be pulling you forward, and in the darkness you'll see a glowing red light up ahead, as if it were a light at the end of a tunnel. Close your eyes, cover them. Do whatever it takes to make sure you do not see what you're about to go through. Covering your ears would also be helpful, but keeping your eyes covered should be a higher priority. The red light is another clearing, but there's no moon or lake this time. Once it's entered, unrelenting and inconceivable noises will sound from all directions. No amount of bravery and conditioning will spare you from these sounds. The cold, will turn to a merciless heat, burning all parts of the vehicle. You'll feel the illusion of the flesh being burned off your bones, that every part of you is being destroyed as you travel through screams and inaudible suffering. So long as you keep your eyes closed and resist the urge to see where you are at all, you'll survive through it. This will last a total of 31 seconds, but many fail to keep their vision closed during that time, and they are left to the worst fate of the road. Where is the mile located? Those who have survived don't know, but some named it's a transmission from hell. But whether it's part of hell is debatable. And on the final mile, power will return. Stop the vehicle, take a moment to regain some of your sanity, let the screaming in your ears begin to fade, and know that you've nearly completed your journey, with the hardest task overcome. Breathe, and begin to drive forward once again. And after only a kilometer, your vehicle will arrive at a dead end. Stop here and don't attempt to move. Nothing's going to happen right this second, but don't be disappointed. Relax, close your eyes, imagine in your mind that what it is you've desired the entire time. It'll most likely still be the same as when you entered, but with some, this desire may actually change through making the journey. Think about what it is that you went through with such terrifying and difficult means to acquire, and imagine possessing it in your hands. Once you've completely visualized this, slowly open your eyes. You'll then find yourself at the beginning of the unnamed road where you first began. Now it may confuse you, but know that you're finished. Task is done. Your mind's then going to go to normal, and if what you desired was material, check in the back seat of the trunk, if the object's larger. If it's small, it might be in your pocket. If it's non-material, then don't be disappointed if the change isn't immediate. Go back to where you came from, and you'll find your life is where you wanted. You may have found the love in your dreams. You may have gained power. You may have put your enemy in the most satisfying revenge ever. No doubt you gained what you deserved. But now that it's done, what's the catch? Vehicle curse, something you're about to lose, gonna die? No. You did all the challenges. And, as stated before, the sounds of the 11th mile are going to exist in your mind, probably causing some vivid and unusual nightmares, but then again, these are nothing compared to what you just gained. Now one last question. Something else you want? Not yet satisfied? I mean, you're right where you started. Road's right in front of you. You up for another drive? If so, put your seatbelt on and just move forward.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was another Ritual Pasta, and holy shit, that was awesome. My God, this was leagues better than the Midnight Man or the Staircase Ritual, which compared to standing on stairs for 12 hours, this is a hell of a lot better. But then again, this one just had that scare to it, literally. An 11-mile drive that would, literally, no pun intended, drive anyone insane, each mile getting so much worse than the last. But you have to think, the fact that at one point something literally is breathing down your neck, and the next is you're driving through hell and you can't open your eyes. Shit, at one point your car completely stalls. It's a friggin' horror movie playing out. It may seem easy driving 11 miles, but God, is it easier said than done. I mean, I'd love to try this out, but due to the bullshit finding it, it probably won't happen, and it really does seem pointless, to go out and chase this down, considering the horrors that would have to be traversed. I mean, I really have to say, are my aspirations as great as the horrors I have to go through? Probably not. And the, incredibly fucked up ways to die in this area really doesn't help, either being frozen or, hell, consumed by these creepy-ass fucking zombies on the road. But I guess for those who want to take that ultimate reward, this would be a great idea for some. And I guess that's what makes a great ritual pasta. And I feel like I've gotten it wrong. And it's not just reward and this incredibly creepy premise. It's just the fact that it's got everything. It's got that horror, it's got the premise, and it's got that thrill. Again, like I mentioned in the last video, and I've really been thinking about this, when you give that euphoria, that really pushes someone into going after something like this. And I totally wholeheartedly believe that's what this creepypasta can really go up to do. But that's where I can really say about it. I mean, it's awesome, and I ask you, what would you rate this? And, would you ever try this ritual out? Please let me know in the comments below. This has been another episode of Ritual Pastas, and if you like what you saw, then please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. This is me, Mudahar, and I'm out.